Hello and welcome to the Digital Assets Report. I'm Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange. With me today, Josh Sutton, the CEO of Agori, and also Vincent Molinari, CEO of Temple Markets.
Hey,
welcome,
Jane.
Great to see you again.
You too.
So Josh, let's start with, just give me a little bit of your background. Very interesting, you've been involved in artificial intelligence and data science, and so tell me a little bit about what,
Sure, Jane.
what your background is.
I've been focused on data and artificial intelligence for longer than I want to admit. I actually started my career running a big part of a capital markets consultancy, and back about a decade ago, a lot of our clients started asking, what's going on with this artificial intelligence thing? Is it real? Is it fake? And at the end of the day, is there a way for us to make money with it? We started looking at that, and as I peeled back the onion layer a little bit, I realized this is going to change everything. So I actually stepped out of kind of the line job of running a consultancy and moved into leading artificial intelligence for my firm. And then subsequently, we got bought by Publicis Group in 2014. And that was a great experience leading artificial intelligence for one of the largest advertising companies on the planet. So I had the opportunity to be the largest customer of clients like Google and see what was going on there. So it gave me a real exposure to what AI could do. It also highlighted a lot of gaps around where AI wasn't being distributed to companies that could benefit from it. And that is ultimately what led to the birth of Agori.
Okay, so then tell me about Agori. You're CEO of the company. What do you do?
So Agori, we launched a little bit ago, and what we are really doing is creating a marketplace for AI tools and for data assets. In very simplistic terms, you can think about us as an app store or a software store for businesses that want to leverage AI as part of what they do, whether you're a retailer or a logistics company. The access to things that can move your bottom line 5 or 10% or even more in some cases that previously haven't been available to you unless you can spend tens of millions of dollars is really what we're trying to provide. And as part of that, creating a symbiotic marketplace with data assets where people that have data and want to actually monetize data that they own have the ability to do that as opposed to just relying on the Googles and Facebooks of the world to sell it to them.
It's a data world, I think, these days.
It's a data-driven world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, Vince, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, listen, I think what's really fascinating about Josh, he's one of the biggest brains that I know, right? And he's got this unique combination of deep AI intelligence and experience and also capital markets. So that converging, when I look at what Agori is doing, is very fascinating. I love the outcome that you came to, and I'd love you to talk about it a bit, is the security token that you're doing. Many people that we talk to, particularly in AI, are very focused on the machine-to-machine aspect and perhaps utility token or consumer token, but you came out the other side of that, a security token, so I'd love to hear that thought.
So we looked at a whole host of different approaches that firms have used to raise capital. There's obviously the utility token construct that a number of firms have looked at. Then there's the traditional means around venture and private equity. And what we found is that security tokens are something new, and we think something fundamentally better, which is they provide people with that regulated ownership or rights into a company, whether it's equity or financial rights, in a way that they can trade that's liquid. And what we actually found really compelling about that is it creates something that everybody can see and understand and is transparent in a way that isn't in the traditional finance world, but is regulated and provides guarantees in the way that the ICO world doesn't. When I really look at where I think the world is headed, I think the security tokens are going to transform the way that OTC markets work in general. The analogy that I've been using with people that I talked to recently is kind of a weird one, but if you think about the shipping containers and what they did for international trade by standardizing the way that product is moved around the world, when standardized shipping containers were introduced, we saw a 5x or greater increase in international trade at a much lower price point because we had a standard vehicle that we could put product into. I think security tokens are the exact same thing for regulated financial instruments. And that's really why we got excited about security tokens and the ability to leverage them as part of the capital formation process.
I couldn't agree with you more. Jane and I have had this conversation many times when you begin to talk about standardization and best practice and the beauty of a smart contract to be able to structure that in a new way as a new product, right? So whether that's revenue participation, profit participation, debt, equity. So I really like your analogy to the shipping container and that having that standardization, size, and what you're putting into it may be different.
And I think it's actually a boon for regulators as well, Because one of the things that security tokens and digitalization allow you is increased transparency. So Agri, as an example, is planning to put all of our revenue on chain to make it visible to everybody that holds our security tokens.
Very cool.
Which, as opposed to waiting for a public company to report on a quarterly basis, or hoping that your private company gives you the appropriate financial visibility that you should have rights to, it's as simple as logging in and taking a look yourself. It's a very different construct that we think is going to be exciting to a lot of investors.
Setting the pace.
Yeah, now, one thing you mentioned was that you are particularly catering to medium and small businesses with this data and how they can help mine it and grow their businesses. So tell me about that a little bit more.
So when we looked at the impact AI was having, and this goes back to a lot of my roots in how AI was transforming businesses, we would see in the retail side, for example, retailers that could afford to spend millions of dollars of putting optimization solutions in, seeing increases of 50%, 100%, even more in their revenue generating capabilities. But the problem is they were all bespoke solutions, because if you look at the AI landscape today, it's controlled by a very small set of companies, 5 or 10 companies that effectively set the stage for how everybody has to engage.
And those companies would be names you're familiar with.
They would be names you're very familiar with, exactly.
Yes, okay.
So, and I've got friends at all of these companies, and they're all doing great things. I don't think any one of these companies is behaving in a malicious manner, but they are beholden to their shareholders. And for them to really move the needle on revenue and profit for their companies, they need to structure their go-to-markets around very large, transformative deals that are in the tens of millions or hundreds of millions, which does great things for their shareholders, does great things for the customers that can afford that, but leaves the vast majority of the world behind and not able to access the benefits of AI. So we think that if we can play a small part of bringing that technology and those capabilities to the smaller businesses, the entrepreneurs and the startups, that is going to create an ecosystem that is very important.
Yeah.
We actually, on that ecosystem construct, we made an announcement in the United Kingdom about a month ago that we were committing £20 million to invest in building that ecosystem over the next 5 years. And that's focused on both universities, of getting students exposure to the technology that we have, educating medium and small businesses. So we're planning over the course of each year to run about 150 companies through workshops that teach them about what AI can do, and then help them create a bespoke plan for their businesses. And then finally launching accelerators for entrepreneurs to build solutions catering to that crowd. And we know that over the first couple of years, that's going to be a process where we're injecting more than we're getting out. But over the long run, we think that that ecosystem construct can become very powerful and propel itself. So we're looking at the UK right now as a pilot geography, but plan to do that in a number of other locations based on the learnings that we have from there.
Yeah, it seems like the small and medium businesses kind of get left out a lot of some of these things because they don't have the scale that some of these big companies do, but yet they could really benefit from this information and
they really
and
could.
grow.
I'd say a simple thing, one bank that I saw put in, the effort to put in some optimization around what they recommended to their customers. And this is not new people coming in. This is just customers they have trying to upsell and cross-sell product.
Okay.
They were able to, by using AI to refine what they showed them, increase conversion by over 100%. Okay. Absolutely stellar results.
It's really interesting. How can someone find out more about Agorify?
So you can go to our website at agorai.ai, agorai.ai. You can also follow us on all of the usual social media channels, Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, and whatnot. And I am accessible to anybody, so if people have questions, my contact info is out there on those areas, and feel free to reach out to me or our team, and we'd be happy to share with you more about what we're doing.
Okay, thank you so much, Josh, for coming and sharing the story of the company, and appreciate your time. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Jane. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you as well for joining us on the Digital Assets Report. I'm Jane King at the New York Stock Exchange. Have a great day.